is 6 o'clock. We have a full quorum present. We welcome everyone. And we also welcome Wilmore, who is the chaplain at Wesley Village. He is our prayer of the evening. And just want to, just got a text, Judy and I did, and maybe that's it. Ralph Yoder is not able to be out among us right now. Just some medical issues based on his situation in a wheelchair, and he misses Wilmore, and he misses being a part of our community. And I'd just like to ask us to lift one of our good lifetime citizens in prayer, Ralph, tonight. He's working. He's just said, I have to stay in bed and do it, you know. Obviously our country, and it's a tense time. And so, would you join me in our pledge to our flag? And thank you, Bill, for coming tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, thank you for the blessings of being a part of this community. Thank you for all of these persons who care about the way life is lived in Wilmore. Thank you for our mayor. Thank you for the city council and their special ways of going about their tasks, and for the staff. And Lord, thank you so much for our first responders that offer safety and security to our community. Lord, I thank you for all the people who live in this village. I thank you for people like Ralph Yoder. I pray, Lord, that you would wrap your arms of love and healing care around him, keep him strong. Thank you for persons like him who over the years have cared very much for our community. So Lord, as the meeting goes forward tonight, I pray that you would give wisdom to all who participate, that plans and ideas might be presented in a meaningful way that will lead to a great outcome. And we'll thank you in advance for all you're doing in our lives and in our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
As we begin our meeting tonight, I just wanted to hand out, I think all of you have this, a media alert. Tomorrow morning at 10:30 at Thompson Hood Veterans Center, we have invited the media in to be a part of that, and I invite you, if you're available and free, to join us in that. But it's basically announcing the Salute to Service, a 3-day community event from June 11. The reason it's June 11 now is we're going to make a separate program out of bringing the Vietnam Wall in and a parade to do that. And then our country's 250, Wilmore's 150, Thompson Hood's 35th, and we've added 9/11, it's the 25th, and we're going to honor our first responders on Friday. So that's a separate celebration there. And so if you have any questions or any comments, I welcome you to enter those at this time, or see you tomorrow for that. And then at the conclusion of that meeting, at 10:30, we come back here and begin an 11:30 meeting, we hope, with this committee that's trying to put this all together to take us to the next step on that. So that's my report on that. And while we're on veterans, Wes brought an idea to us, and I think you've already signed on that. And Wes, you want to just update on what that is?
Yeah, so this past week I learned about an opportunity. Many of you know Ellen and Andrew Martin. I think it's their oldest son is David Martin, and he's on active duty with the Navy. And so we have an opportunity to basically do a modern, current mail call. With the veterans, we've been soliciting letters for mail call, and this is a way for us to, we've all signed this, and we'll ensure that that the Martins get this and they send it on to him. They wanted to be here tonight, but they let me know earlier that they couldn't because they came down with the flu, but we have the letter here, and we'll make sure that it gets to David.
If any of you know of any others in service, all we need is a name and a contact. And we would like to do this repeatedly through this year. Make sure that we're honoring the veterans that will be here in June, but we have veterans that are on active duty now. So if we can do that, we'd like to do that throughout the year. Also want to remind you of another event, not in competition with our event, but to complement our event. On April the 25th at East Jessamine High, there will be a 250 celebration also that Doug Day does, and Ron McCauley, and I met with General Hunt, another general today, and they're shepherding that program, but it's to honor the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the 58 signers of that, and to make school people, school children, not children, they're young adults, aware of what happened with the signing of that, those 58 people, and the story of John Hancock's large John Hancock. But they'll also be honoring veterans that day, 35 veterans, I believe. And so we're beginning to try to bring these two events to complement each other more and more. But that one was already scheduled, ours is already scheduled. They're not in competition, they're separate total purpose, but the overall goal and vision is to honor veterans and honor those who have served our country. So Devin Marks is on his way here, and he wanted to give you a brief update, but I'm gonna keep moving on, and then we'll come back to Devin when he arrives. He wanted to update you on a festival in the fall. I don't think Devin's here, is he? No. The Ginkgo Festival. The Ginkgo Festival on, I think it's October 24th. So we'll talk about that when he comes. So the first item then would be the minutes of March 2nd that have been circulated to you. Are there any corrections to those to be noted? Not a motion's in order for their approval.
We accept the minutes.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by aye. Aye. Okay, the next one is Mr. Gullett. I've already talked to him, and I don't think we have, yeah, we do have that. No, that one's the one we don't have.
We do not have the agreement with the county. I have met with the new county attorney, Ms. Hannah Roberts Smith, and between she and I, we both had sufficiently full plates that we couldn't get it done, but we're going to get together this week and have you all something to look at in 2 weeks.
Chief Nelson Strout.
All right, well, thank you all for giving me a few minutes of your time tonight. The reason I want to talk to you tonight is the parking situation on Rice Street. Got a little PowerPoint together for you. It's got some photos in it that shows you some of the issues we've been dealing with, so we'll start. You worked earlier. All right, I'm here to propose to you all tonight to make the east side or the railroad side of Rice Street a fire lane, make it a no parking zone. I'm also here to ask that you make the north side of Walker's Lane, that'd be the side where the lawn is for the Health Point Clinic, also designated a fire lane. I'll explain more why about both those areas here in a minute. But it's become a public safety concern for us. Some first responders, specifically say fire and EMS, not to pick on them because they can't drive, anything like that. but they drive bigger vehicles than we do. Some of the pictures you'll see here in a minute, I've shown it to Chief Day. He thinks a fire truck, especially the ladder truck, would have an issue getting through the area. Might even make contact with the vehicle when you go through the area. It affects the traffic flow, especially if people are traveling in opposite directions. I've noticed personally, coming from Walters towards Main Street on Rice, you have to wait and let other cars pass before you can pass because parking is so congested. And you also have vehicles beginning to block the entrance to the railroad property. I've got photos of that as well for you. We've also received complaints and concerns from the community. Last year, Jessamine County Schools said some of their buses were having trouble getting down Rice Street, especially when a lot of cars are parked there. In November of last year, a Republic garbage truck was exiting the Health Boy Clinic. Now, this was partially his fault. However, if the side of Rice Street I talked about was no parking, this wouldn't have happened. He had pulled in that lot to get into the dumpster and unintentionally let the arms down. When he came out, he made his left, I think he was making a right turn and hit a vehicle with one of those arms. If those cars hadn't been there, it still would have been, it wouldn't have happened. There was error on the driver's part, but again, that wouldn't have happened if the cars weren't there. And started getting complaints from the public back in January. Now, this is nobody's fault. There's a thriving business on Rice Street. It happens to be a narrow street. And we also have residences parked there. So we got a couple of issues that we got to think about as far as all this goes. That's an overhead of the area Drinklings is in. Drinklings is the red point or pinpoint on the top left there, towards the top left there. I'm not very good with Microsoft Paint, so excuse my crude drawings there, but that exit the top and the bottom along Rice Street, that's roughly where the beginning and end of this would be that I'm proposing. I'm also proposing that at the bottom of the map on the left there, the side where you see the lawn on Walters Lane, that also be designated a fire lane. Because if we don't do that, we're gonna push the problem around the corner. We're gonna have the same issues you're about to see in these photographs on Walters Lane. We started monitoring this May of last year. And that's 10:14 in the morning. That's, for any of y'all that go to Cluckers, that's typically what it looks like on Rice Street. Again, it'd be very difficult to get a big truck, a fire truck, school bus through there. I was talking about them blocking the railroad property. This is where Walters Lane comes out onto Rice Street. There's a big opening there that the railroad has left open, I'm assuming, for large equipment. People have started parking there now to go to Drinklings or other businesses. To the right of that utility pole is another driveway that dead ends at the railroad property where they store some materials. People have been parking there. Now this here, now to show you it's not always bad, I took this picture on January 6th. This was 3:43 in the afternoon. Some days it looks like this, some days it doesn't. A week later, about 9 in the morning during their peak hours, that's what it looked like. Again, very narrow. This is the first complaint, one of the first complaints I got from the citizens, and I can't read that word. Let me see where the gentleman's message says, I got a fire truck or ambulance could get through this street today with 2 exclamation points. So again, citizens have become concerned about it as well. The next picture, this was the Tuesday after the snowstorm. Now that black SUV you see driving towards the camera, that's Officer Kyle Toms. He's our SRO, but he was working patrol that day because school was closed. He and I were dispatched to a call over at Village Circle. I traveled that way, going to Village Circle. That SUV you see on the right, to the right of his cruiser, there was a white pickup truck parked in front of that vehicle on my way there. It was extremely narrow because snow had been pushed out of the way. Again, the snow's gotta go somewhere, can't get it all completely off the road. But it was very narrow through there, and I drive through there, I'm like, okay, I'm threading the needle here. Well, my passenger mirror hit his driver's side mirror. It was a priority call. I went onto the call. After things had settled down, I checked my mirror, there was no damage. I went back to check, the vehicle left, so apparently it didn't damage his vehicle either. But, things were extremely narrow that day, primarily because of the snow on Rice Street. Now, this was this morning. And again, it's just to show you, it looks like some of the other pictures. And then, during all this process, I met with Randy and April Harden, the owners of Greenwings, and talked to them about this. Of course, they were afraid if we made that side on the left, no parking, it would affect their business, because their customers wouldn't have anywhere to park. So they offered this up to me as a solution. Went with the mayor about it, we met with Mr. Markley about it. They asked that the city enter a partnership with them in helping them prepare some of their property for a parking area. The agreement was, if the city prepared the ground, they would put gravel down. And that's what it looks like now. Jeff and his crew did that last week. We had a coffee with the cop, we did there this morning. Mayor, how many crews did you say was there, 10?
10 cars, right?
I actually didn't see it myself, but there was 10 cruisers parked there. A lot of them, the sheriff's department, they drive some Tahoes down, which are considerably bigger than our Durangos. But, again, 10 cars fit in this space, which is actually more space than the section I'm suggesting make a fire lane. So it's definitely gonna benefit Randy and April.
So that's new gravel?
That's new, when was that finished last Thursday, Friday?
Thursday, I think, the last week's when we did it, yeah.
And of course, the gravel, the Hardens bought at their own expense. They
There's
wanted
a
to.
photo of this morning, 10 cars were parked there. More than parks on the other
Right.
side.
Right, so essentially, again, if we don't do something bad's gonna happen in fire EMS, us may not be able to get through, so I propose you all would make those two areas fire lanes. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I mean, I'm in 100% support. As you know, I rode down with you and Harold and
Right.
Dave Carlston when he was here, trying to get something done. My only question is, does city council determine where fire lanes are? I just don't, we've had people want stop signs, we've had people want, as you know, other traffic. I don't mind making a motion in full support of that being a fire lane, but
I think if it's a city street, then I don't know who else would.
I think the fire department and him could determine that's a fire lane.
Well,
No, they don't,
They can?
they can make the request, but I think it takes action of the
Yeah.
council to do.
I know the city ordinance says I can declare areas temporarily no parking for special events. I'm like for the festivals downtown and stuff like that. I do that, did that frequently last year. And that's another thing I forgot to bring up. When I did that, guess what? It pushed them around to Walters Lane. So, that's another reason I say let's make Walters Lane fire lane too. The city ordinance, I can do it temporarily for events, but I don't think I can do it on my own without your all's approval, so.
Well, if that's the case, are you ready for a motion? I don't know all the technical terms. I'll leave that to Donna, and
Just say so moved.
so moved as per described by our police chief.
Discussion.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think the request for more parking areas in our town is always a good sign. It's a good sign saying that people wanna get to our places and wanna get to our businesses, and I like that we are doing it in a way to take, and we're talking to those businesses, so thank you so much for
Yes, sir.
taking that time and doing the research, and yes, it has been an issue for years, and I've had other folks talk to me about it. As we look at adding these parking spots, I want to point out that I rarely see parking in front of the old city hall that used to be police department parking, because that's still, I think, yellow or blue, and every time I go downtown, those two spots are left open. So if we can put that as a priority to repaint that so that those parking spots start getting used. To fully understand what you're asking is no parking on the railroad side,
Correct.
only on the other side.
Correct.
It talks a little bit about making the coffee house side designated partly for residents or
Right.
residents only. Is that part of this
Yes, sir.
proposal?
And thank you for bringing that up, I forgot to mention it, Randy and April, there's a, well, let me go back to the map. Okay, where orange dot is at the top, that is the bakery. Of course, the bakery fronts Main Street, there's an apartment behind the bakery. He was proposing, Randy wanted to see that that apartment had at least 2 spaces designated for them, because there's an elderly woman that lives there, that's the mother of the actual tenant. He normally parks one of his vehicles there, now he had one time had up to 6 vehicles on that street. He's actually downsized to about 3 vehicles, a pickup truck, his personal car, and a motorcycle, so, and the motorcycle's not there all the time. But I frequently see him park in the area you're talking about on Main Street, as far as his car, so he's not worried about parking on Main Street. But like I said, they asked that you designate 2 spaces over there for them. Maybe even 1 or 2 on Main Street, probably a couple past the bakery for those apartment dwellers as well. I don't know if that's something we need to address tonight, but they do have options besides Rice Street.
And there's also public parking over behind those buildings
Correct.
for those
And-
apartments. Where on Walters are referencing, on the inside lane or the side that, actually, not the side where the homes on Walters?
No, it would be this side, because there are some residences here.
Sure.
And and those residents do park in front of their homes sometimes, so.
Sure.
So it would be along the stretch right here, between here and Bethel Point, essentially, on that side.
Has it ever been considered, just think outside the box, to make both those a one-way? I mean, I have no idea how one-ways are created, and
I wouldn't know about that.
I know oftentimes it is the way to detour around town if we're closing streets.
My recommendation would be definitely leave it 2-way, because if we do shut right down for a night market, we gotta have, an open road for both, people travel both directions.
And in many ways, by
And that is our
taking the
detour.
parking away, it'll allow for our Thursday night markets and other
Right.
times that we close
Right.
them, it's just easier.
And
for
honestly,
folks.
on those nights, I'll probably just still declare that other side no parking, just for the length of the event, and then as soon as the event's over, it'll go back to regular parking, so.
Oh, that's what you have been doing?
I've been doing both sides for events for 2 years now, but now I'm gonna have to do the one side, and just for the length of the event, and then since it's over, it's open back up to the residents or whoever parks there, so. And also as part of this process, I talked to the Gobles, the old City Hall parking lot, she has certain spaces designated for her business, but the rest of it she considers public parking. She just asks that people don't park for more than 2 hours to allow turnover for people that want to frequent the businesses, so.
Well, when I spoke to the Hardmans about it, maybe 2 years ago, when a resident brought it up, and I was discussing a little bit with the mayor, they were hesitant about this change, but it sounds like they're satisfied now that they do have
Yes, I met
parking.
with them for about 2 hours on a Friday afternoon at the coffee house, and we had a great discussion that day. Got my chocolate out of the deal, and we had a very productive meeting, so.
I think there's some ethics policy about accepting.
I didn't ask for it, they offered it.
No, more than $100. No, more than $100.
I didn't ask for it.
I think the ordinance hadn't been passed.
Okay, well, you're good.
I feel like if you
Go
take
down there
this-
tomorrow and get another cup, that's my advice.
I actually turned it down 3 times, and she finally insisted, so I didn't want to be rude.
It'll be interesting to see how it impacts, things, but I tend to think that it's, if we have good places to go, people will find a place to park, and,
Well, and
we've
they're-
clearly seen that it's not the best,
Right.
placement, we've had some incidents on it.
And some of the times when these pictures were taken, now, I didn't take this picture, Officer May took it, but I've seen it park like that, parking just like that on that street several days, and you go around the corner to Main Street, there's no parking on nobody's parking on Main Street.
Yeah,
And it's
they
just
don't
around
wanna
the
walk
corner.
that far.
Yeah, it's just around the corner.
But once they don't have a choice, I mean, we go downtown or other, downtown Lexington or Nicholasville or wherever, and we get used to parking, so walking and.
I actually they first brought up a parking garage, but I was told no, so I'm jumping for it.
Well, as you know, I've had a zillion requests from Bethel Point for some reason.
Mhm.
It's a big concern to them, and
Right.
I'm guessing they will now elect you as Kentucky Police Chief of the Year
I would
for
go
solving that problem. I'm serious, they're all over it, so.
Yeah. I have talked to you.
Any other discussion?
We're not ask questions from here.
Any other discussion from the council?
Is Drinkling's gonna put up a sign that?
They are gonna put signs up there. They haven't done that yet, but they will do that.
We will not ticket anyone until we have signage at both places.
And anybody that parks in their parking lot, that's private parking, so it's up to them to police it, so to speak, so.
Are we allowed to ask questions?
Yes, you can.
So my question is one, are there other businesses that could maybe want a similar arrangement to obtain parking? Potentially, if they're willing to partner. The other question is hopefully Drinklings is here for 100 years, but let's say if they sell and they move, will that deal carry on to the next
I would assume
owner
so.
with the
I would assume
tenants?
so, yes, because that parking lot is on their property. It's not city property at all. The city just helped them prepare the property.
We just skimmed dirt off, and they paid for the rock, the rock in. And I'd be glad to do that for any business that brings business to Wilmore. And I think our council would support that 100%. Any other discussion? Nelson, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
And, in fact, they were there this morning with Coffee with a Cop,
Yes, sir.
and, there was 8 or 10.
There was at least, I think about 10 or 12.
10 or 12? Yeah, 10 cars. Yeah,
That was a good idea.
any other discussion of the motion? Motion, all in favor, please indicate by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Devin, so you came in and.
Yes, sir.
I've asked Devin and he's asked, well, I guess we've asked each other, give an update of what you're doing. If you don't mind speaking there, everybody can hear you.
All right. Actually,
Devin, you're walking like an old man today.
I am an old man all of a
What's going on
sudden.
back
Pass these around. Instead of a PowerPoint, got your hard copies. There should be one for everybody. So the idea is what I call a collective festival. And I've done this in Boston and did it for 3 years in Tampa. The idea is in the fall, we'll have a arts and music festival called Ginkgo Galore, celebrating ginkgo trees and as a symbol. And that's the brand. And then we produce the opening event and the closing event. We being myself, volunteers, and Jeff James, who is the former CEO of Ichthus. Obviously, he'll handle the music, and I'll handle the other stuff. And the vision right now, it's not solidified, but it looks very likely. We will produce a ginkgo version of the Wesley Waddle, which happens in front of the ginkgo trees on North Main Street. And we'll call it Ginkgo, Ginkgo Go, and that'll be a 5K. That race will kick off the day-long festival, and the runners will make their way through the neighborhoods and come through the seminary property on the back entrance, where there are about 40 new ginkgo trees, and we'll call that Ginkgo Alley for the sake of the name. And the runners will continue down to the granary property, which is across the street from Drinklings. On the granary property, there's that long side with the cover. That's where the music stage would go. And if you look at the property from that stage, it's a semicircle, roughly speaking. And the vision is that we would have a line or a curve of food trucks on the back, and then 20 feet from there, the artisans. And the day would just continue to unfold as different performers or activities took place. Now, I called it a collective festival because, again, we branded Ginkgo Galore, produce the opening and the closing event, and in the middle, we invite every nonprofit, every for-profit, every club, out of their own creativity, and that's the big thing, but also budget or volunteer base, to produce, to apply to be recognized as a ginkgo themed event for the festival. And collectively, the advertising, the public relations, the hoopla will promote all organizations and all of the events as a 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. festival. The goal I promised Jeff James, because the first time I did this in Tampa, it was 10 days, 2 weekends, the full week, 50 events, a lot. I was younger then. Learned a couple lessons. This event would be 1 day, well-produced, well-funded, and something that families would leave going, gosh, that was great. Let's come next year. So somebody locally, Cameron Miller, said, you want to create memories for families and hopes for more. And that's ginkgo galore, if you will. There's a lot of material in that handout, and we haven't gone public until today, I guess. So the website's coming at the end of the month, when technically fundraising and finalizing programming will begin to shore up. And again, the vision is bring people to Wilmore. Over time, grow the festival so that it's more than 1 day, easily becomes a weekend in year 2 or 3. And in that, it puts heads in beds. So my vision, Potter's Inn full, but also Jessamine County hotels, full of participants are either selling their wares or here for the concert that would go 2 days. We have signed a deal with Lexington Lab Band. Not the whole 35 performers, but we do have access to their promotional list. So there will be probably some enthusiasm for the 6 performers that will be there. And another act that Jeff signed is a young man named Abe Parker. Some of you may know him as a student at Asbury. Some of you may know him then as somebody who got discovered on the ICFU stage by Jeff. And so he's been generous enough to offer us a special homecoming deal, if you will, and he will close the event. Any questions?
Devin, tell them about the first tree, 1952.
Yes, sir. So my daughter and I are on the Wilmore Tree Planting Committee, or Trees for Wilmore Committee. And I dragged her to that because it's a family tradition. Her great-great-grandfather traveled with the president of the seminary at the time, Mr. Query, my great-grandfather, and Dr. McFeeters, committed to visit every missionary in every nation from the seminary. And, jet airplanes were new back then, and so was my great-grandfather's stock portfolio. And so they did it, and they came back from the Orient, remember Oriental Mission Society, from some country, probably Japan, but we don't know to this day, with a sapling to symbolize the seminary's graduates leaving Wilmore when the gold leaves fall, and the resilience that those missionaries needed, and the tree represents. It's the only tree that survived the Hiroshima bomb, just to give you a sense of resilience. It's the oldest known tree in the world. They found fossilized leaves just like the one in my backyard. So that sapling was planted in the backyard, and from that, 2 trees were germinated, and those are the 2 in front of the seminary building.
That story always fascinates me.
Thank you. But here's the thing that somebody said, I think it was Cameron Miller. Devin, that's an interesting story for you and your family, and maybe this zip code that loves those trees. But guess what? There are families around the world who have been in Wilmore and created memories of their own, stories of their own under those trees. It's graduations, it's babies born, it's wedding proposals, it's everything and anything under those trees. I think we all have an affinity for those stories, and so celebrating those are, one of the focuses of the festival.
We, first started talking about the 150 events for Wilmore, and Judy and Amy was very careful to say, we're looking for events, but we're looking for people to carry those. And Devin, you have demonstrated that in carrying an event, you know, not just bringing an idea and, here, do this, but we can do this, and this is how we'll get there, and I'll help you do that. And so that's, you exemplified what we're looking for others to do here in our town, and to make it even more special. And so we're looking very forward to, the launch of this, and where that might go, and what that might do, and the lasting impact of that.
Well, thank you for, that's encouraging, as they say, it's wind in the sails. Maybe wind in the leaves, I don't know. One other thing I didn't mention, on Saturday, I met with a woman named Kay Sargent in Lexington. One of the visions was that Wilmore become a sister city with the ginkgo capital of the world. Who knew there are 5 cities that claim that? They all have their own permutations as to why they're the ginkgo capital of the world. One is Tokyo, Japan. And arguably, Wilmore has the potential to declare itself the ginkgo capital of America. One, because no other city in America has. 2, because we got a lot of ginkgo trees in here per capita. And if you remember back in the day, they used to say Wilmore has more active passports than any city in America if you go per capita, and more nonprofits on Main Street than any city in America. I think we're right there with the ginkgo trees. The Trees for Wilmore Committee is going to be counting as part of their inventory trees. So we discussed the Sister City application on Saturday, and she was very enthusiastic and said you probably could partner with a number of cities in Japan. And the vision there is literally this year we could have a cultural exchange with a city in Japan. And that sounds outlandish, but I got a bunch of empty bedrooms in my home, and I'm willing to invite 2 or so artisans from Japan to be in Wilmore for the fall, and they could be artisan residents. And arguably, this year or next year for sure, Japan, whatever sister city it is, would invite some of our artists, and that cultural exchange could begin. You also, you know, those huge drums that the Japanese perform with. There's a Lexington Huge Drum Association, and or Kentucky Huge Drum Association. I'm just ad-libbing here, and love to see them on the stage at the festival. So the vision is, again, one well-produced event, one small event, one well-funded event this year that leaves families with new memories looking forward to next year.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate your update.
Well, thank you, sir.
We move to an item of old business, ordinance 2026-1, ordinance amending ordinance 423-94, which means it's a 1994, related to the City of Wilmore Code of Ethics, revising the Code of Ethics for Wilmore. So you, at the last meeting, gave a first reading. I think you have a clean copy.
I emailed it.
Emailed? I have a clean copy. I'm sorry. Do you wish time to read that more, or it was just what you approved at the last meeting with those red lines taken out? But we can do it however you'd like to do it.
Getting a clean copy was harder than deciding what should be in it. Clean copy when we worked on it.
Well, it has been a work in progress, but it's finally there. I only have one question I asked Wes, who's been sort of one of the champions of this. says in there, the financial report has to be in by February. So since we are now in March, do we just amend that to another date, or is that next year, February, or how do we do that?
Well, I suppose we need to file this year, but, I mean, clearly, we're not making a February date. So if you wanna make it, change it to April, or if you wanna just.
60 days from passing or something?
Yeah.
So, what is the wishes?
I'm waiting for Wes to do this.
Did you wanna do that, when we appoint the board, how's that gonna work with it being? Not even with the mayor race, did you wanna address any of that, or?
Well, the idea is that we had 4-year terms. Since we're all up for election this year, if you had this, serve out this year and then a reappointment in January, the council, the mayor at that point, then you would have those running 4 years at a time. Or you can have it break off at the 4 years from now. So,
Is there an easy way to do that? Kinda after the fact deal?
I would think so.
I think we accept
that would be acceptable.
Has it.
To serve through the year.
Yeah, serve through the year and then just start again in January, just so that it lines up clean.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Second,
Okay, so we have a motion for a second reading, terms to run through 2026 for membership to be either reappointed or new membership. 2027, and 60 days on the financial report due for members. That does include everybody that works here, right,
Yeah, it does.
in the council.
And planning and zoning and board of adjustment.
That might be harder to get those reports in. That's part of the committee's responsibility. So we will begin to bring names to you for those 5 appointments by the next meeting. Any discussion of the motion? Question, all in favor of approval, second reading, please indicate by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, any other reports from the council? Any reports from the staff? Judy, you have one?
I guess I'll have to use a microphone.
I think you should, because you're the one that says I can't hear. Please.
I can speak loud.
No, you can't, thank you, Judy.
First thing, I wanted to share some good news with you. We have sold 2 more coaster cars at $500 each. So I want to thank the Gullets for initiating that project about 3 years ago, and it's more than paid for itself, so we're very thrilled with that. I want to thank Jeff for working with the potential buyers, meeting them and helping them get their cars. We were out there Saturday morning up down at the granary. We had several stop by, and then we also had a gentleman who had read about it in the newsletter and wanted to know what this coaster car was all about, so that was a good contact, so very happy with that. I'm passing around a little flyer. We've got 2 events coming up back to back. We've tagged them as part of our celebration. The first one is on Saturday, and March is Storytelling Month in Kentucky, and the Kentucky Storytellers Association and the More Tales Festival are hosting a little event here in the Assembly Hall. It's a free event, but bring a potluck and join us for our meal. It's at 1 o'clock. And if you like hearing stories by professional storytellers in Kentucky, it's a good opportunity to come out and see what we're all about. Then the second thing, we are going to have an event Sunday afternoon called Shining a Light on Kentucky's Everyday Heroes. And this will be by Steve Flaherty. He's an author, a teacher. I think he resides in Versailles, but he speaks through the umbrella of the Kentucky Humanities Council. So that starts at 2 o'clock, and at 12:30, we will have a food truck for your convenience. If you want to leave church, come by, pick up something to eat. We'll have a food truck parked out front, and then the event starts at 2. I encourage everybody to come. It should be a lot of fun, a lot of interesting facts about Kentucky heroes. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Speaking of coaster cars, do we know what the Derby is? The Derby?
It's, the last Saturday in April, April the 24th or 5th.
It's on the calendar, on the website.
It's in the newsletter.
Hitting all points.
Get it? Okay. Any other staff reports? We had several this morning, but I didn't know if anybody, okay. Any requests on the floor?
Can we just repeat the date of the Ginkgo Galore?
Oh,
Festival?
Saturday.
October
My mind just
24th.
went blank,
October
yeah.
24th.
The Saturday before Halloween.
Okay, thank you.
Did I jump into something?
Sure, I'm sorry.
I missed it on reports from council, but I had a question, maybe to Janelle and Allison. Where currently is the video accessible? I feel like the town over the last few years has shown more and more interest in council meetings by attendance, by the fact that we've got this great space here, the great work that David's been doing with the newsletter. Is that an accessible video, or is it, I see it on Facebook sometimes. I'm curious
Yeah.
if we could have a link either on the website or on the newsletter, but where is it currently?
Yeah, so right now we do post it in the Facebook groups, but it's hosted on a YouTube channel called Wilmore City Council. So if people want to be updated on the new videos, they can subscribe to that channel. But that is a singular link that could be put wherever.
Do you have any idea how often it's viewed currently?
Last time I checked one of them, and that was a couple months ago, we had like 72 views. It's probably
It's
like
probably more than that.
50 to 100 on
It
average
seems
per
like it's
view.
when a lot of folks don't know where to find it sometimes. I know a lot of cities,
Yeah.
even small cities like ours, do have that with, on their websites. How long have you guys been doing the video? Has it been about 3 years now, or two?
No.
Wow.
I don't know exactly.
You guys have been
Maybe two.
really dedicated
Maybe a year and a
to
half.
Volunteer service.
Happy to do it.
Is that something that we could consider to either have it on our website or in the newsletter?
Yes, it's their personal property at this point.
We're happy to share it.
Yes,
We
happy
do
to
it as
share.
a service, so if you all want to put it somewhere where it feels more easily accessible, we're happy to do that.
Thank you. In fact, that was mentioned to me tonight by Donna. How do we link that more? So, thank you, thank you. Any other reports or requests?
I'd like to thank the ethics board. It wasn't necessarily made clear. David and Sharon were on the ethics committee that we had for the ethics ordinance, so it wouldn't have been possible without their help. So I just wanted to say, acknowledge them and say thanks.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
for someone who was not on it, thank you very much. Pouring over that kind of document is not my joy.
I wouldn't describe it as a joy. Working with them
Wes
is a
did a
joy.
great job.
Just another reminder, if you're free tomorrow at 10:30, we're meeting inside at Thompson Hood for a news conference and the launch of Salute to Service.
I have something from the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, I didn't know, I didn't want to interject. The reason I'm here, and you all probably know why, is about the MOU, which I understood did not get finalized. That's very important to me. It's been a long time. It's been 9 years of a lot of frustrations. And maybe you don't know why, but there's certain folks in our town, we have all subscribed to certain things that we've agreed to live by in our communities. And not everyone's abiding by that, and it makes the rest of us miserable. I don't know how else to say it. Like, I literally want to list my home every day, but I don't know who would buy it. I wouldn't. I wish I wouldn't have. And that's what the person got into it with me yesterday. They said, well, you shouldn't have bought that house. And I said, you're right, I shouldn't have, but I did, and you should follow the law. And so this is, to me, it's not just my property, it's Asbury has to see it. We all know what I'm talking about. I'm happy to show pictures, I've got it well documented. As you pull in our town, there's also properties that.
We are, that's the reason we
I understand.
12 people.
So my question then is to what extent what does this mean? And so my question is, how much teeth does it have? And will we be satisfied citizens when we're done with this?
I think
And
that's
we don't have a
gonna
crystal
reside in
ball.
the courts. I think they can be cited into court for violations, and I've got an attorney here, he can speak to that better.
Because it's gone through court before and it's.
I know that's what I'm saying. But the officers can only do so much.
Understood.
But we moving to a standard code of enforcement with 3 officers, that's their full-time job.
Yeah.
To try to do that. We've got a lot of properties in Wilmore that need to be cleaned up, just to say it like it is. And so if you begin with one, you need to do the others.
Right.
But that one's probably been the longest, with really nothing substantially done. And I'm sorry, I mean, I know the owner before you, and he dealt with it too, and,
So I say that to say it's a lot of years of a lot of people doing the right thing and nothing happening. And I know you all have tried and it has gone to court. Does the city need a stronger ordinance? Are there stronger things we can do? Because we shouldn't, I don't like going in my backyard. I hate it. I go back there and I despise it. It looks like, well, I'll show you the pictures. I don't enjoy my yard.
I've seen your pictures.
Thank you. Thank
I'm
you
sorry.
for those who have shared. And it's like, and it just, so I won't belabor it, but it makes me not enjoy coming home. When I pull my driveway, I have to see it. I have to live with it every day. My kids have to see it. We were driving back from a youth trip the other day and the kids were arguing about who has the creepiest basement. And then they go, who has the creepiest yard? And my kid had the mic drop because when he shared what is in our backyard, I was like, oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. I have no one I know, or you know what I mean? Like, these are kids, but it's like, it's just unfortunate and it's a shame, so.
I just apologize to you that we haven't been able to do any more than we have. But I promise you we're gonna try.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I guess the ordinance, code of enforcement, I did talk to the county judge today, which that comes under, how do we put some teeth into these things?
It doesn't have to be ready for Southern Living to do a photo shoot, right? I don't think anybody expects that. We just wanted some basics then.
It is unfortunate that you have to see that, and I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
Anything else? Anyone else?
Adjourned.
Why's he pointing at you?
Always.
I bet you bet.